Wednesday, February 11th, 2026. Welcome back to the Two Witnesses Live. I'm your host, Watchful. And boy, do we have a show for you tonight. Not really. it's I feel like I just have to say that like every day, every show's amazing. It's funny when I generate the descriptions for the show, it's like in this urgent update or in this amazing show. We got Macron. So Macron, should I every day you post that baptism saves you. Yes, baths keep you clean. Indeed. I don't know. I'm in a goofy mood today. The news is just all over the place. It's we've got, what is it? It's the 11th. So we have 6 days until the eclipse, and it just feels like we're in this limbo. Watching the news today, just the weird shenanigans with the Epstein files. You guys been watching any of these things? That was bizarre. Now they're saying there's I don't know if I got this correct, but it sounds like they're trying to say that there was like no pedophile sex ring, but there was a ton of evidence and there was a lot of back and forth, so that's weird. Then you've got what's going on with Israel, or not with Israel, with Iran, and Donald Trump sending a lot of assets over there, and which it's obviously in preparation for end time events. So I'm suffice it to say, I'm not exactly sure which direction to go today. We've got a couple of options. We could look at like Elam in Iran and study, what's involved with that in regards to the end times. I think that's probably a fair approach for what we could cover. We could, Tovia continues to make himself a target, Tovia Singer. He's got a video. Somebody had asked him, a Jewish person had asked him if, he'd asked him about Matthew 24, how it describes that we're in the end times and all Jews are looking for the Messiah. Is there an overlap with what the Christians believe and with the Jews believe? So there's that video we could address. And then also we've got some massive disruptive technology that aims to literally change the entire world. Elon was giving an update on his companies and what 2026 looks like, with some very interesting predictions. Like, nobody's going to work anymore and everybody's just going to get a universal basic income. So it's just like, is this an exciting day or is this just a weird day? What do you guys want to cover? I mean, we've got quite a few things to pick from. I'm leaning towards learning about Iran because that's like the pressing issue, because there's events that need to happen in regards to Iran that are very indicative of where we are. So maybe we'll do that. In the meantime, let's look at what Fury has posted to see what other crazy shenanigans have been going on around the world today. So first up, we've got California's jock tax. It's called the Golden State because they take all of your gold. Indeed, because of California's confiscatory tax laws, Seahawks quarterback Sam Darnold owes the state $240,000 in taxes for the 8 days he spent in the state, even though he only made $178,000 for playing in the Super Bowl. It's because California's jock taxes forces athletes to pay a percentage of their annual income based on how many days they spend in the state. So Darnold actually owes California $71,000 more in taxes than he earned. Is it any wonder that so many taxpayers are moving out and not spending any more days in California? How can they do that? It's like, do they charge you for driving through California? Oh, you used our roads. We need a percentage of your income. I mean, it's like, if you're going to come here and participate in our sports, you got to pay us. And not only, I mean, they're like the mafia, man. It's like worse than a shakedown. I mean, that's so ridiculous. California is imploding. All right, let's see what's up next. Early Tuesday, FAA halted El Paso airport flights for about 10 hours over special security issues, then lifted it. No threat to commercial flights. All back to normal now. Speculation tied it to law enforcement versus cross-border threats. A Trump admin official said DOD countered unauthorized drones in U.S. airspace. Flights resumed safely. Yeah, there's a lot of drama going on in the world today with drones. Matter of fact, I just picked up another drone. I'm a drone pilot. I don't know if you guys know this. FPV drones. Have you guys ever seen those things? It stands for first person viewer. To where you wear these goggles and you fly a drone, and it has a camera on front of it, so you can fly it without actually seeing it. You fly from the perspective of the drone, and you can fly them like 100 to 200 miles an hour. These things are insanely fast. I got into drones before COVID. It was probably 2018. I started flying, went to competitions, used to fly in races. Very fun. It kind of gives you that sensation from Star Wars, the speeder bikes going through the trees and the forest, just like everything's a blur and you just kind of zip around things. If you've never seen like FPV drone pilots like flying in buildings, you should go watch some of those videos on the internet. They're very interesting to see how it's possible for somebody to fly something so small so fast. It's entirely possible that may be part of some of the alien sightings that people see, where they see something up in the sky that moves in ways that they've never seen move before, because of those drones. Those FPV drones can move in ways you've never seen before. Very interesting. But anyway, there's some weird stuff going on with drones. It's been going on for the last like 7 years, to where the FAA has been, or not the FAA, the FCC. No, it is the FAA actually, to where they're locking down the ability to actually fly these little drones. And now I'll show you the one I just picked up a couple days ago. So I got this little tiny guy, and this is not a high speed drone. This is actually like just a little, just a little aerial drone that's got a nice high resolution camera that uses GPS. So you got this little guy. You see that? This one's not DJI. This one is Potensic. Stores are starting to clear these out because our government is doing really weird things with the laws. It started by requiring DJI, which is a big manufacturer for drones and technology that is sold in the United States. It's made in China, but what these things can do is they can fly up, and they've got these high resolution cameras, and they can, a lot of people use them for like real estate videos and making movies. They use them for movies because you can do like the pullback shots. They have AI in them so that they can like follow you. So if you're like say you ride motorcycles and you need a drone to follow you while you ride your trails, it'll do stuff like that. So they're incredibly useful. I got this for surveillance because I can automate this thing to where I can put it into a little box, and then at a set interval have it go up and go around our property where we live, and just take video of everything and then send it to me if it notices anything out of the ordinary. That's why I got this one. But the government is doing really weird things with drones, and I honestly think it has to do with the war in Ukraine, Russia and Ukraine, because Ukraine has been using not drones like this, but drones like the first person, the ones that I fly with the goggles. They've been using those in battle, to where they'll strap explosives to them and then just go fly them into stuff. They'll go kamikaze, fly it into people, fly it into machinery. There was an incident where they put a whole bunch of drones in the top of a semi truck, and it had this retractable lid. And the semi truck got really close to a Russian base. They retracted the lid, and all the drones were controlled by a computer, by an AI, and they just all went up and went and flew into all of Russia's fighter jets, like just destroying like their nuclear bombers and stuff like that. So I have a feeling that that's why the United States is probably locking down on these drones, and the stores are clearing them out right now to where it's still technically legal to fly them, but the government is not renewing the licenses for like China to actually sell the things in the United States. So that's another weird thing that's happening. So in with that news about the drones in the airport and shutting down the airport, wouldn't surprise me if the United States isn't kind of preparing to for other people attacking us. You know, you wouldn't think that this would be a security problem. Maybe they just want everything out of the air. I don't know if they're afraid that like China's going to be able to like stream video. Every time somebody flies a drone, if they're going to stream video back to a foreign country or something like that. I don't think that's the problem. It's probably more that they just want stuff out of the airspace until there's peace again. That would be my guess why they're doing what they're doing. Anyway, moving on to the news. Let's see. So let's talk about the House vote. There's a House vote Tuesday night, measure to block any votes on ending Trump's tariffs for the rest of 2026 failed, 214 to 217. Republicans joined all the Dems to vote. The GOP reps who voted against it, Thomas Massie, of course, Kevin Kiley, Don Bacon. And so this opens the door for potential future challenges to tariffs. Interesting. Yep. All right. So let's see. Seamus Colton, an Irish non-citizen, got nabbed by ICE last September after overstaying his 90-day visa by 17 years. Now he's the left's surprise new anti-ICE hero. For the most cynical reasons, he claims English speakers like him face discrimination and detention. Extra food to Spanish speakers from mostly Hispanic staff. But hey, Trump admin doesn't play favorites. Even white overstayers are heading home too. Equal enforcement. The United Nations said a congratulatory letter sent by Secretary General Antonio Guterres to Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian on the anniversary of Iran's 1979 revolution was a routine diplomatic gesture and should not be interpreted as an endorsement of Tehran's policies. UN spokesman Stephanie Dujarric told Iran International that the message sent on Iran's National Day followed a decades-long protocol applied uniformly to all UN member states. Okay. Let's see. U.S.-led Board of Peace to hold first meeting of leaders on February 19th. Interesting day. What else was being held? There's also another. I think there's a UN. We'll have to look at the calendar for the United Nations. I think there's also a Security Council meeting being held on the 17th, if I'm not mistaken. It's like a Security Council on Peace, because I remember thinking, I wonder if that's when they say for when they say peace and safety, then sudden destruction. Anyway, Trump Netanyahu meeting and Iran tensions. President Trump met Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu at the White House, insisting on continued U.S. diplomacy with Iran, including nuclear talks. While warning of military options, Trump hinted at possibly deploying another aircraft carrier to the region amid escalating rhetoric. Well, don't send them all. Leave some of them over here to protect us. Let's see. Dina, it applies to us as being prayed up. Oh, wait, is this doesn't have to do with the world. Let's see. Look at it this way. On the brighter side, Fury made 3.5 pints of blood orange jam today and 11 quarter pints. One I made with sriracha in it. Ooh, yum. I like spicy stuff. Oh, I'm addicted to spicy stuff. Yeah. All right. Well, that is the Fury update. Do you guys have anything else we want to talk about before we move into the daily Torment reports? What do you guys want to What do you guys want to do for addressing the House of Israel? Do you guys have any ideas? Did you guys have a preference? It's a weird day. I'm not inspired one way or the other on what to cover. So our options are learning about Iran and Tehran, or no, Elam, the Elam prophecy. Learning about the Elam prophecy, I could address Tovia Singer again. He's butchering. But in another video, he butchers answering the return of Christ. That's a juicy video. Or technology stuff. Elon makes some interesting announcements that we could talk about with what the future looks like. There's some really interesting things going on with AI that most people aren't aware of. Things are escalating so quick. It's really difficult to keep up with. And as somebody who works in technology and does this every day, even for me, it's really difficult to keep up with the advancements and the changes that are coming. Yeah, even predictions that Elon was making that were 3 to 5 years in the future, he's now of the opinion they're going to be here by the end of the year. So it's up to you guys. What do you want to talk about? Do you guys want to learn about Iran? And should we address Tovia Singer some more, or learn about technology? It's up to you guys. I'll leave it up to you guys to decide on in the comments. In the meantime, let's do our daily Torment report.
Through shadows deep, through bitter years, I see your strength, I see your tears, the weight of loss, the trials fire, still you rise, reaching higher.
I love that song. Alrighty. First up, looking at what Donald Trump has posted today. So I'm not expecting a whole lot to be posted. He was busy in the White House today. I couldn't find his interview with Netanyahu. So I'm not sure what it is that they talked about or what they covered. So when I do, we'll cover that information. But in the meantime, 13 hours ago, he posted a must-watch 100% correct MAGA. And this is from CC. Take a seat, liberals, and watch as President Trump gives masterclass on tariffs. We will make America great again.
Donald Trump just got the EU to offer to drop tariffs on all American products. Like literally 3 days of threatening the EU with tariffs. And Europe is now ready to drop all tariffs on U.S. products. Oh, and Vietnam's doing the same thing. They want to drop all tariffs on U.S. products. Oh, and so does India. No more tariffs on the products we want to sell to the billion fucking people that live in that country. Oh, yeah, and Israel getting rid of tariffs on U.S. products. And Japan. And South Korea. And Thailand. Oh, and 43 other nations. All offering Donald Trump 0% tariffs on U.S. products.
Wow.
He did all that in 5 days. 195 sovereign nations in the world, and more than a quarter of them are now offering 0 tariffs on U.S. products just so they can continue to trade with us. And all because Donald Trump was willing to threaten them with tariffs. Like, do y'all understand the benefit that's going to have on the United States of America? The benefit that's going to have on American companies that want to sell products worldwide? And he did all of this while half the country was bitching about it. He did this while y'all were protesting, while you were attacking American companies and firebombing car dealerships. Like, I actually saw so many of you on X saying we should invoke the 25th Amendment, saying that we should remove him from office. And while you were doing all of that complaining, he now has agreements with more than 50 fucking nations to not put a single tariff on our products and is drawing up trade agreements that are beneficial to the United States. Liberals, I want you to understand that we are going to make this country great again. And if we got to drag you kicking and fucking screaming to do it, we'll do that.
Man, it makes you wonder what the Great Tribulation is going to be like. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe we've already come through the Great Tribulation. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. But things could get cheaper. I see everybody's really interested in technology. Man, the technology stuff is really fascinating. Like the stuff that Elon is doing, the stuff that's happening with AI, it's insane. The stuff that, if he's able to actually get data centers in space and build moon bases, it's exciting stuff. It's like Star Trek type stuff. So I don't know. I kind of feel like we're getting our hopes up just to have the trap, which has been set up, collapse, and then judgment just is poured out on the entire earth. Okay, an hour ago, when Kevin Stitt, the very mediocre at best RINO governor of Oklahoma, was losing his election to a Democrat, primarily because he did a bad job, he called for my help. I endorsed him, and he won. Sorry, my cherished Oklahoma, to have done that to you. President Donald J. Trump. Aww. All right, let's see. Canada has taken advantage of the United States on trade for many years. They are among the worst in the world to deal with, especially as it relates to our northern border. Tariffs make a win for us, easy. Republicans must keep it that way, President Donald J. Trump. All right, any Republican in the House or the Senate that votes against tariffs will seriously suffer the consequences come election time. And that includes primaries. Our trade deficit has been reduced by 78%. The Dow Jones has just hit 50,000 and the S&P 7,000, all numbers that were considered impossible just 1 year ago. In addition, tariffs have given us great national security because the mere mention of the word has countries agreeing to our strongest wishes. Tariffs have given us economic and national security, and no Republican should be responsible for destroying this privilege. President Donald J. Trump. 3 hours ago, the RINO of the great state of Oklahoma. Didn't he already say this? This looks worse. The RINO governor of the great state of Oklahoma, in which I won all 77 counties 3 times, the only person to do so, incorrectly stated my position on the very exclusive governor's annual dinner and meeting at the White House. The White House intends to limit invitations to the annual business meeting, scheduled for February 20th, to Republican governors only. That is false. The invitations were sent to all governors, other than 2 who I feel are not worthy of being there. I did not invite the governor of Colorado, who has unfairly incarcerated in solitary confinement a 73-year-old cancer-stricken woman, a 9-year term for attempting to fight Democrat voter fraud, plus the foul-mouthed governor of Maryland, who fraudulently stated that he received military medals, a lie, is doing a terrible job on the rebuilding of the Francis Scott Key Bridge, and has allowed Baltimore to continue to be a crime disaster. I even invited that slob of a governor, J.B. Pritzker, and horrendous California governor, Gavin Newsom, to the dinner, despite the terrible job they are doing. So as usual with him, Stitt got it wrong. The invitations were sent out to all other governors, Democrat and Republican. I look forward to seeing the Republican governors and some of the Democrat governors who were worthy of being invited, but most of whom won't show up. Thank you for your attention to this matter, President Donald J. Trump. God. How can you not love this? I absolutely love that. I mean, tell us how it is, really. Tell us the truth. Confront the idiots. Oh, that was good. All right. I have just finished meeting with Prime Minister Netanyahu of Israel and various of his representatives. It was a very good meeting. The tremendous relationship between our 2 countries continues. There was nothing definitive reached other than I insisted that negotiations with Iran continue to see whether or not a deal can be consummated. If it can, I let the Prime Minister know that will be a preference. If it cannot, we will just have to see what the outcome will be. Last time, Iran decided that they were better off not making a deal, and they were hit with Midnight Hammer. That did not work well for them. Hopefully this time they will be more reasonable and responsible. Additionally, we discussed the tremendous progress being made in Gaza and the region in general. There is truly peace in the Middle East. Thank you for your attention to this matter. President Donald J. Trump. Let's see. 10 hours ago, great job numbers. Just in, great job numbers, far greater than expected. The United States of America should be paying much less on its borrowing bonds. We are again the strongest country in the world and should therefore be paying the lowest interest rate by far. This would be an interest cost savings of at least $1 trillion per year. Balanced budget plus, wow, the golden age of America. The golden age of America is upon us, President DJT. And now the golden age is here. What is this? Ava, I Love My USA memories. Okay. How quickly people forget. A timeline of Trump's bigotry. Let's see how quickly people forget. Sad, President DJT from Mila Joy. A timeline of Trump's bigotry. Trump hater Michael Cohen proves that there's zero connection between Donald and Jeffrey Epstein. I don't get what's going on here. What is he posting?
I never once heard Donald Trump talking to Jeffrey Epstein on the phone. I never once saw Jeffrey Epstein in that office. I never spoke to Jeffrey Epstein personally. I never engaged in emails, text messages, any communication. In fact, I only lived like 12 blocks away from Jeffrey Epstein. I'm not even sure if I was ever in the same restaurant as Jeffrey Epstein. And because I turn around and I say that during the 11 plus 12 years that I was literally living inside Trump's office, I never once had any dealings where Trump was in communication or talked about Jeffrey Epstein.
There you go. I saw the funniest meme. Did I save that meme? It was on my X timeline. Let me go see if I can find it real quick. Today was a good meme day. It was... No, it's not there anymore. It updated. It was what was it? It was a funny meme about the Democrats insisting to release the Epstein files, and then when they released them, it completely vindicated Trump. It was just done in a really funny way. Anyway, let's see. Tim Walz is in massive trouble. He knew. Tim Walz in full-blown panic after investigators discover massive fraud. This again? Here, while we watch this, I'll go look for that meme.
Where the hell has the Twin Cities media been? The Star Tribune is complicit. They have had this story for years, if you just heard, and they've refused to report anything on it. In fact, they continue to try and cover up. Our Minnesota Republican colleagues have demanded answers and accountability for years, but have seen nothing from Walz, his administration, our Democrat colleagues like Tina Smith, Amy Klobuchar, Ilhan Omar, and Angie Craig, or the worthless Star Tribune. Thank God for President Donald J. Trump for finally bringing attention to this issue. Representative Rarick, I'm going to begin with you. You've been working on this issue for years. You've spoken to the whistleblowers personally. Is that correct?
That is correct.
You have an understanding that 1,000 whistleblowers running an account on X have come forward to expose fraud in Minnesota state agencies, and they have been entirely ignored by Tim Walz and have even been retaliated against. Is that accurate?
That is correct. Even this morning, I got another message.
Well, in your experience, are their claims credible or are they politically motivated against Walz?
They're completely credible, not politically motivated.
In fact, many of these are Walz administration employees, correct?
Wow.
They are actually Democrats as well.
Can you quickly give us one example of the retaliation these folks have been facing?
Yes, I can. In my opening statement, I mentioned that the most severe ones was that they would be fired with cause, so they couldn't have unemployment insurance, that they would be blacklisted from all state agencies, and I bet that it's also Hennepin County and Ramsey County, as you know, those are Democrat-run, and much, much more.
Based on what you've learned, Representative, over the last several years, do you have any doubt that Governor Tim Walz knew about this fraud as it was occurring?
He absolutely knew that it was occurring.
Thank you. The Housing Stability Services Program was estimated to cost about $2.6 million per year, but before it was shut down last October, it was on track to run about $122 million in 2025. In fact, I think they sucked $161 million out of it from the point it started in 2020 until it was finally shut down. Isn't that correct?
That is correct, and Joe Thompson believes that 90% of that was fraud.
That microphone
the
feedback
Quality
is annoying.
Leering Center, as uncovered by Nick Shirley, received almost $10 million in funding. Is that accurate?
I believe it is.
There are more than 80 autism centers in Minnesota under investigation. Is that true?
I believe it is, yes.
It's clear that someone is criminally complicit. You can't just let this amount of money get out of your administration over a period of 7 years without knowing. There was a hearing in the state regarding the fraudulent housing stabilization program, but before that hearing, Governor Walz fired the official who was slated to testify so that they could not testify and expose what was happening under Governor Walz's watch. Has Governor Walz or Attorney General Ellison fired anyone else to your knowledge, Representative?
Not to my knowledge, and that was Eric Rumdahl, and his administration believes that he was not fired, but I say he was fired because it was too convenient.
Right. Representative Hudson, is it true that 90% of the individuals charged, regardless of what your colleague on the panel just said with his facts and figures, 90% of the individuals charged or indicted with the $250 million Feeding Our Future COVID fraud are of Somali descent?
I believe that to be correct.
Are you aware that in a 2021 video, Mr. Ellison promised that he would obstruct his own agencies in their investigation of Somali fraud?
I am very much aware of that.
It's no wonder that criminals in the Somali community felt they were free to steal taxpayer dollars. I'm going to ask you the same question I asked Marion. Do you have any doubt that Tim Walz knew about this fraud as it was occurring?
None whatsoever.
Walz and Ellison were protecting fraudsters instead of investigating them, and it was purposeful. And it's no coincidence that this is occurring largely in the Somali community. Walz made a sanctuary state, Minnesota, a sanctuary state. He gave free health care, free college, and free licenses to illegals. And Walz looked the other way when Somali immigrants were stealing. Representative Robbins, do you have any doubt that Tim Walz knew about this fraud as it was occurring?
None whatsoever.
So all three of you have no doubt in your minds that Tim Walz knew about the $9 billion of fraud during his tenure as governor and did nothing about it. It looks like my time is about to expire, and I do want to say to all of you, on behalf of Minnesota, thank you for being here, and justice will be served.
I hope so. I can't wait until justice is poured out. It's one of the reasons why I wanted to watch this. It's just like this, you know, and we saw these time and time again with the election stuff. We've seen so many, you know, meetings like this to where evidence has been, you know, there's been testimony, multiple witnesses, tons of evidence. I really hope we see some justice. Although after the shenanigans that Pam Bondi did today about the whole Epstein thing, I'm not so sure. We'll see. We'll see justice served. It's going to have to come from God, because our Justice Department doesn't seem to like arresting anyone. All right, Democrats find Donald Trump's name in the Epstein files, and it's the exact opposite of what they alleged. Oh, is this the funny meme? I found my meme. Let me see what this one is.
There are new details that sharply undercut years of media and Democrat speculation and assertions about Donald Trump. Newly released FBI interview records confirm that Trump personally contacted Florida police in 2006 during the original Jeffrey Epstein investigation, and not to shield Epstein, but to support law enforcement going after him. According to the former Palm Beach police chief, Trump called investigators and praised them for pursuing the case. He warned about Epstein abusing underage girls. Trump also flagged Ghislaine Maxwell as evil, and he urged the police in Florida to focus on her role in recruiting victims. This is all in the Epstein files. Trump was right. The entire narrative around him and Epstein was a hoax perpetrated by Democrats to deflect away from their own problems. The police chief told federal investigators that Trump was the only prominent figure who proactively reached out to assist their investigation at a time when Epstein was surrounded by powerful friends and enablers. The FBI records also reinforce longstanding reports that Epstein was barred from Mar-a-Lago after inappropriate conduct there. And there is more. Additional documents show Democratic Congresswoman Stacey Plaskett communicated with Epstein using a fake name, presumably to shield herself from scrutiny. Reports indicate Plaskett used a pseudonym while exchanging messages with Epstein in connection with official matters, raising new questions as more names surface in the expanding Epstein document release. We'll have more to come as the Epstein files continue to be reviewed, but it seems to me there's vindication here for Trump and more trouble for Democrats than the media has ever wanted you to know. It's Scott Jennings.
Oh, I thought I had that meme. Copy link. Paste. There we go. There you go. I can watch this all day long. For those of you just listening, it says Democrats watching the FBI confirm that Trump was the one who blew the whistle on Epstein, and it's a scene of Captain Kirk freaking out. And so you see the association there that the Democrats are freaking out because they thought that the Epstein files were going to provide them fuel to go after Trump, and it did the exact opposite. Oh, so good. All right, moving on. All right. They really tried to charge Trump for insurrection after this.
We have to have law and order. We have to respect our great people in law and order. We don't want anybody hurt. It's a very tough period of time. There's never been a time like this where such a thing happened, where they could take it away from all of us, from me, from you, from our country. This was a fraudulent election, but we can't play into the hands of these people. We have to have peace. So go home. We love you. You're very special. You've seen what happens. You see the way others are treated that are so bad and so evil. I know how you feel, but go home and go home in peace.
Yep, I remember when that was posted, and I remember when they took it down, and then they tried to charge him for an insurrection. That was the evidence. I mean, it was clear he wasn't calling for an insurrection. Yep. Good times. Let's see. Poll watcher Brian McGafferty, who is a Democrat, detailed corruption in the Philly vote count center. I remember this too. Yep.
My name is Brian McCaffrey. I'm a registered Democrat in the city of Philadelphia. Today, I'm at the Philadelphia Convention Center, and I am overseeing the ballot counters. I will let you know the corruption that is going on here. They will not allow us within 30 to 100 feet to supervise the ballots being counted. This is a coup against the President of the United States of America, and I want to call out the Mayor of Philadelphia, James Kenney. the Attorney General, Josh Shapiro, who tweeted that there's no way Donald Trump can win President of the United States of America, and also District Attorney of Philadelphia, Larry Krasner. I can't believe what I'm seeing right before my eyes. This has nothing to do with Joe Biden or Donald Trump. This has to do with our democracy, and I will tell you, there is corruption at the highest level in the city of Philadelphia.
Yep, there's corruption at the highest level in the city of Philadelphia. All right, Lady Vet, this is why we don't burn the flag. It has draped the caskets of fallen heroes. It has been folded into the hands of mothers, fathers, and spouses who lost everything. That flag represents sacrifice, honor, and lives laid down so we could stand free. Oh, it's so sad. Man, that was posted by Trump. This is why you don't burn your flag. You know, people sacrifice. You're disrespecting people's sacrifice when you disrespect the flag. It's one of the things I appreciate about Donald Trump is he has such a deep love for justice and a deep love for people. Oh, good old Mikey.
No one realized that 30 years ago, Donald Trump saved Mike Tyson's life, and Tyson would spend his life repaying him. Almost no one knows that Trump used to be Tyson's manager. When Trump was gaining some fame in the real estate business, he realized that boxing could bring massive exposure to his career, so he decided to collaborate with a boxer. Although Tyson wasn't famous at the time, Trump saw great potential in him and bought the rights to host his fights multiple times. With Trump's help through his connections and money, Tyson quickly became a world-famous boxing champion. Trump also arranged Tyson's fights to take place at his own hotels during the fastest-growing period of his real estate business. This led to a deep friendship between the two. 30 years ago, Tyson was imprisoned due to charges, and after being released, he was completely broke. Trump directly gave him $10 million with no need for repayment.
Wow.
Tyson has always kept these favors close to his heart. When everyone opposed Trump's campaign, Tyson firmly stood by his side to support him. He spoke out for Trump in public many times, stating that he would always be a loyal fan. The two remain very close friends to this day, with Trump frequently attending Tyson's matches to cheer him on. Every time Trump attends a match, Tyson gives an extra effort in his performance.
Yep, I guess you could say I'm a Trump fanboy too. I don't know, that's just touching. You see stuff like that. And that's the Trump I grew up with. That's the Trump I remember, you know, always doing stuff for people. Even when he was broke, even when he was bankrupt. Donald Trump values loyalty greatly, and he's extremely loyal to Michael Jackson. Oh, I've heard some stuff coming out about Michael Jackson today. I don't know if it's true.
If there was one person Donald Trump stayed loyal to, it was Michael Jackson. The day after a casino opening, Michael found out that a child he supported had sadly passed away. Heartbroken, he wanted to go to the funeral. When Trump heard this, he dropped his busy schedule and used his private jet to take Michael there. From that day on, their friendship became very close. When Michael Jackson was falsely accused by countless people, Donald Trump stood up and said this.
I'm going to stick up for him because nobody else is, but I don't believe it.
Trump angrily criticized the mother who accused Michael of child molestation.
And she goes after him viciously and violently, and I saw a story and I read another story about some of the things she's done, and I don't believe it.
While many hoped for MJ to be jailed, Trump was the only one who defended him. We can't say who was behind the smear campaign against Michael, but Trump gave him best support.
I love Michael Jackson, so...
Michael was a great friend of ours, actually.
I heard, I don't know if it's true, I heard that today Macaulay Culkin came out and said that Michael was actually protecting the children from Jeffrey Epstein. that he was interjecting himself into the kids that were being trafficked to Epstein Island and was trying to protect them. I don't know if that's true, because I mean, how can you know if it's true? But it seemed as though it was a statement from Macaulay Culkin, and then that might be why they launched a smear campaign against him, which it would not surprise me because we've seen them do that with Donald Trump. We've seen them do that time and time again. It seems to be their playbook that as soon as you start to expose the corruption and the lies and the disgusting things that they're doing, that they turn around and project the thing that they're doing onto someone else. So it wouldn't surprise me if that's not the case, if that wasn't the case. Don't get me wrong, Michael was losing it there towards the end, but that would definitely clear his name, because I do remember the times where where his name was being smeared. Yeah, and honestly, it has an effect on me today, to where we don't really listen to Michael Jackson stuff anymore, even though it's a big part of my childhood growing up. All right, we're over our half hour on Donald Trump. Let us move on to Elon Musk. Let's see this side. Oops, that's our multi-stream window. Let's give it a fresh refresh and then hit our timer. All right, from Elon Musk 5 hours ago, XAI was reorganized a few days ago to improve speed of execution. As a company grows, especially as quickly as XAI, the structure must evolve just like any living organism. This unfortunately required parting ways with some people. We wish them well in future endeavors. We are hiring aggressively. Join XAI in the idea of mass drivers on the moon, if the mass drivers on the moon appeal to you. Yeah, and this is, we're watching a snippet of this, since everybody kind of picked on listening to the tech advancements. We're going to listen to part of this. Let's see, do I have the... how long is this one? Yeah, we're going to listen to about 15 minutes of this meeting where he goes through and gives an update on what's going on, because it's some pretty exciting stuff. Let's see. 4 hours ago from Tesla Economics, it's clear Elon has a bunch of super nerds that are kind-hearted and extremely driven running XAI. Okay. Let's see, from Sawyer Merritt, Elon Musk in new presentation. I really want to see a mass driver on the moon that is shooting AI satellites into deep space. I can't imagine anything more epic than a mass driver on the moon, a self-sustaining city on the moon, and then going to Mars throughout our solar system and ultimately being out there among the stars and visiting all the solar systems. Maybe we'll meet aliens. Oh, this reminds me of an epiphany I had after the show last night. I sent Fury an email because I wanted to remember this to bring it up on the show. So we were talking about how Jesus is human, right? How he has a human body. I've said a couple of times on the show that I believe the reason he had to leave the planet was because he had to go receive his kingdom, because he's given parables, and there's a couple of places where he gave an indication to a man of royalty leaving to go receive his kingdom. He's also stated that he was going to go prepare a place for us, and that he would return. With what's going on the planet, me and my wife were laughing about this hysterically today. Because we had this weird realization. Okay, let me see if I can explain it as well as I did to my wife. So we know that seal number 6, or it seems as though seal number 6 is the rotation of the planet, right? The magnetic poles seems like the poles are going to shift for seal number 6, because part of the description of seal number 6 is the sky is rolled up like a scroll and the mountains and the islands are moved out of their place, which Ben Davidson from Suspicious Observers has gone on record saying that is what will happen when the Earth rotates, when the magnetic poles shift, and that's what he does. Is he's been tracking the movement of those poles and the weakening of the Earth shields. And he says that when it happens, it will be like the Earth is slowly rolling over to where the North and South Pole will be at the equator, which seems to line up with seal number 6. Now, his original timeline was 2040 to 2050, but he is constantly, every day he's getting on saying things are speeding up. Things are speeding up. We don't know how this affects. There's a lot of surprise information. Him and Stefan Burns are doing the same thing. Suffice it to say, it seems as though the Earth, the magnetic pole shift could happen as early as this year, which is when I'm projecting it based on the data that we have in regards to the end times. When that happens, I'm of the opinion that is part of the restoration of the planet, bringing it back into alignment of what it was like before God flooded the earth. Because part of the fall with Adam and Eve was that the earth would be cursed. So we know from the flood that before the flood, people lived 1,000 years. After the flood, the lifespan on the planet started going down, 400 years, 300 years, 200 years, to where now it's no more than like 120 years. And matter of fact, there's even an indication that it may be limited to 120 years. So that got me wondering if Jesus, so we've done a lot of work on the show about the blood and the importance of Jesus's blood and why he had to be human. We've talked about how it was pure. It didn't inherit the Y chromosome from Adam, and that's the reason God was able to raise him from the dead, and he was able to receive a new body. What if that new body would have been subject to the conditions on the earth? So if he stayed here, he would have still been subject to the curse that was on the planet, to where it would have detrimentally affected his body. So he may have had that person. So he has that perfect body that could live forever, immortally. But if he had stayed here, it would have continued to degrade, and he may have been stuck in this death and resurrection cycle, to where after he may have aged and ended up dying if he stayed here on the planet. There's a creation science museum that's done experiments with hyperbaric chambers, to where they have emulated the pre-flood conditions, and they've proven that it extends your life. And basically what it does is it double oxygenates your blood, and it's just the perfect environment for your body to thrive forever. So have you guys ever heard of spawn camping? This is what we were laughing at, because we were thinking that it might have been like spawn camping. So in video games, where you spawn, so when you come into a video game, in most video games, there's what's called a spawn point, to where when you start the game, you usually spawn into a particular section in the game. And what'll happen in some video games is people will just sit there and kill you over and over again. It's called spawn camping. And we were laughing so hard today because we were saying that had Jesus stayed here, and because he had a perfect body, it would have been like spawn camping, to where he would have gotten old, died, and God would have had to resurrect him again. So I thought you guys might enjoy this.
What are you doing? Killing noobs in the graveyard. Want to join?
Every time they respawn, he just kills them.
No.
That's what we were laughing about today. So I honestly don't even know if that's true. But I thought it was hilarious, and it could be just yet another thing that explains why it is that he had to leave. Because isn't it curious that he's not here? I mean, haven't you guys asked that question? I've asked that question a million times. Why isn't Jesus here? I believe he died. I believed he was resurrected from the dead, like it says in Romans 10, that if thou shalt confess with thy mouth the Lord Jesus and believe that God raised him from the dead, thou shalt be saved. So the question is okay, he's alive. why ain't he here? Why isn't he here? Right? So I've often wondered why he's not here. And if that could be one of the reasons why he's not here is because the planet is under the curse still. That goes all the way back to Genesis when God, after Adam and Eve fell and God declares the punishment, not only does he say that you're going to die, from dust thou art, and unto dust thou shalt return, but he also says that the ground will not yield its full abundance to you. And weeds and thistles will you have to, work all the days of your life. So maybe he was, and I find it so interesting that seal number 6 is when he returns, because we've been reading in Matthew 24. Let's go look here. Matthew 24. Right here, it's seal number 6. Immediately after the tribulation of those days, the sun will be dark and the moon will not give its light. The stars will fall from heaven and the powers of the heaven will be shaken. The sign of the Son of Man will appear, and then all tribes of the earth will mourn. And they will see the Son of Man coming in the clouds of heaven with great power and great glory. And he will send his angels with a great sound of a trumpet, and they will gather together the elect. So that is seal number 6. We know that from Revelation 6. Oops. Seal number 6. I look, when he opened the 6th seal, behold, there was a great earthquake. The sun became black as sackcloth. Moon became like blood, and the stars of heaven fell like a fig tree out of its place. Then the sky receded as a scroll and rolled up, and every mountain and island was moved out of its place. And the kings of earth, and the great men, and the rich men, and the commanders, and the mighty men, and every slave and every free man hid themselves in the caves and the rocks of the mountains, and said unto the mountains and rocks, fall on us, and hide us from the face of him who sits on the throne, and from the wrath of the Lamb. For great is his for the great day of his wrath has come. So you've got this here. So they'll see the signs. The sign of the Son of Man will appear, and then all tribes of the earth will mourn. Not only will they mourn, they're going to be hiding themselves in the mountains because they're going to be like, oh, crap, he's real. So I don't know. I find it's interesting that his return is right at seal number 6, which there's a lot of reason to believe that that's going to be the earth is going to be brought back into the same kind of condition that it was before the flood. And it may be that those conditions are what allowed people to live 1,000 years, and potentially indefinitely. Maybe that's where Jesus went. Maybe there's another planet out there in the galaxy. Maybe there's another galaxy that he went off to, because he often said that he needed to go on a long journey. So maybe he went to another section of the universe, to another planet, maybe Nibiru, where the conditions are right for a healthy body. I don't know. Just an interesting thought that we enjoyed after the show yesterday. All right, moving back here. Let's see. 5 hours ago, that's AGI. So there's a lot of tech stuff here. For all the fools who said that X would be dead by now, here are the facts the team just shared, which we'll actually get into that in a little bit. Let's see. Over 1 billion people use X. Zoinks.
The reason we say 1 billion users, actually over 1 billion users, is that while our monthly users are on average around 600 million, the number of people who have the X app installed is well over 1 billion. It's just that most people only occasionally come to the X app when there's some major world event. But as we give people more reasons to use the X app, whether it's for communications, for Grok, or for X money, whatever the case may be,
X money.
We want it to be such that if you wanted to, you could live your life on the X app. And as we make it more and more useful, we'll obviously give people compelling reasons to use the app every day, and have, my expectation is, well over 1 billion daily active users.
He's trying to turn X into a platform where you can make money and also use it as a kind of a bank. What is this? improved version, XAI's Epic All Hands. Yeah, we're going to watch a little bit of that today. Let's see. From Autism Capital, Elon Musk explains his vision for future space exploration, mass drivers. Yep.
In order to understand the universe, you must explore the universe. There's only so much you can learn from just being on Earth, with telescopes and colliders on Earth. Ultimately, you have to go out there and you have to explore the universe to understand it. And that's the motivation behind the combination of SpaceX and XAI, is to accelerate humanity's future in understanding the universe and extending the light of consciousness to the stars. So, in the grand scheme of things, when you look at how much energy Earth is actually using for civilization...
All right, we're not going to get into the energy stuff. He's talked about that a lot. Elon predicts AI will bypass coding entirely by the end of 2026. Yep. We're going to get into some of that stuff with the video, the 15-minute segment. Let's see. Senator Jory, I'm proud to co-sponsor the Save America Act so only Americans can vote in American elections. It's common sense. Added Senator Ernst, we're up to 40. Baby steps to save America. That's good. Cool. Maybe maybe we're already halfway through the Great Tribulation. I don't think so, because it's said to be the worst time ever on the planet. Not in those words, but you get the idea. The Great Tribulation. So bad that if it wasn't cut short, no flesh would survive. But it would be great. I mean, there's so much justice that needs to be had that, the thing with the eclipse on February 17th is it's in Aquarius, which is pouring out the liquid. And the two things that typically indicates is it's pouring out the Holy Spirit or it's pouring out judgment. I'm very curious to see what happens after February 17th. I'm really excited for justice to be poured out. And I don't know, there's a lot of exciting things that are being talked about with the future. The most exciting is the return of Jesus. I think it's more exciting with him than with anything that we can imagine. It's funny. Maybe these things are happening now just to kind of get us excited about what the future is really going to be like. You know what I mean? Tesla Cybertruck is one of the best trucks you can buy right now. I agree. We love our Cybertruck. Matt Walsh. Let's see. 3 years ago, Redditors lost their mind over Matt Walsh quoting males of Reddit screenshot. Okay. I once again hate to say I told you so. I don't know what's going on here. Can I zoom in on that? I can't zoom in. There it is. How do I stop comparing myself to fictional characters? I'm a trans MTF. I don't know what that is. I'm pre-HRT. I imagine that's pre-hormone treatment. 15 years old, and I've been viewing a lot of anime-related content recently. Was never into it before. The characters are always so cute. I don't want to be 2D or anything like the characters themselves. But when it comes to their body shape and stuff, I often find myself comparing their semi-unrealistic yet still physically possible shape. Specifically when it comes to height, BMI, and obviously their chesticles. I'm super skinny, so that sometimes makes me feel kind of good, but I'm pre-HRT and my expectations are minimal for chest growth. It's hormone replacement therapy. I'm 6 foot tall. Why can't I be petite and small? Side note, if you know of anywhere I should go to get into watching anime, that'd be nice. Never watched it before. Never let your kids watch anime. Hate to say I told you so. That's what Matt Walsh has said. Okay, and then Matt Walsh, let's see, Matt Walsh quotes tweet account, quote, let's see, Matt Walsh quote tweets account that posted a person's adult content without permission as a form of targeted harassment. The account has over 50,000 followers, and many of them are underage. Okay. And then what? 3 years ago, Redditors lost their mind over Matt Walsh quoting males of Reddit screenshot. Oh, this is the person who just shot up the school. That happened today. Did you guys hear about that? Terrible, terrible thing. Just shot up a school in Tumbler Ridge, Canada yesterday. I once again hate to say I told you so. Oh, I get it now. It's all this trans movement. You would think that, like, with as many of these trans people that are shooting up schools and committing these mass acts of murder, we should move immediately to ban this kind of stuff, or put a watch on these people. Don't allow them access to guns. Clearly the messing with their hormones is messing with their minds. Wow. Well, that's terrible. Updated list of senators to contact. Senators who haven't committed to saving our elections. Please contact these senators to confirm that you want voter ID required in elections. So if you're in one of these states, LA, Maine, Utah, Iowa, Missouri, Kentucky, Arkansas, South Carolina, South Dakota, North Carolina, Arkansas, or Missouri, or is that Minnesota? What is MS? Is that Missouri? Oops. There you go. All right, 8 hours ago, the trans kid who murdered over 10 people and injured more also killed his mother and younger brother. Turns out supporting your children in their sexual delusions will probably get you killed too. Wasn't that one of the signs that Jesus had warned about also? Matthew 24. That one might actually be in one of the other gospels. And you will hear of wars and rumors of wars, nation against nation, famines. Then they will deliver up to kill you. And then many will be offended and will betray one another and will hate one another. Then many false prophets will rise up and deceive many. And because lawlessness will abound, the love of many will grow cold. But he who endures to the end shall be saved. What is it Mark 13 maybe? There's one about the kids turning against their parents, isn't there? Take heed that no one deceives you, for many will come in my name, but you will hear of wars and rumors of wars, famines. But watch out for yourselves, for they will deliver you up to councils, and you will be beaten in the synagogues. You will be brought before the rulers and kings for my name's sake, for a testimony to them. And the gospel must first be preached to all nations. But when they arrest you and deliver you up, do not worry beforehand or premeditate what you will speak, but whatever is given to you in that hour, speak, for it is not you who speak, but the Holy Spirit. Now brother will betray brother to death, and a father his child, and children will rise up against their parents and cause them to be put to death. That's what I was thinking of right there. There you go. There's another sign that we're in. I mean, the way this reads, it almost sounds like they're going to turn you in, like, during the rise of Islam, that children will be like turning in parents who haven't converted. But I mean, you get the idea. Brother will betray brother to death, and father his child, and children will rise up against parents and cause them to be put to death. And you will be hated by all for my name's sake, but he who endures to the end shall be saved. Yeah. Yep. We're about there, folks. Sauron, appointed judge, rules that Frodo must return the ring to Sauron. From the Babylon Bee. I love it. Love it. All right. Let's see. I don't need to conduct a research study to identify that there is an undeniable pattern of violence here. Another trans person just shot 35 people, killing 10 in Canada. Giving mentally ill people cross-sex hormones to affirm a delusion is dangerous. Knowing this is common sense. There is a pattern here. Wow. Yes, indeedy. All right, from Christian Davenport. Oh, this is yesterday. Starship will be able to do both the moon and Mars, the destination, as I wrote in Rocket Dreams. Doesn't matter as much as the means of ascent. This is good news. For those unaware, SpaceX has already shifted focus to building a self-growing city on the moon. as we can potentially achieve that in less than 10 years, whereas Mars would be 20. My filter must not be working. It's supposed to hide these things. This is the trans killer who gunned down 35 kids in Canada. Man, that's heartbreaking. Absolutely terrible. All right, Elon Musk, nothing any of my companies has done has been to stifle competition. In fact, we've done the opposite. At Tesla, we've open sourced our patents. Anyone can use our patents for free. Yep. All right. Oh, we were at the end of his that was February 10th. Yep. Getting close. We still have 6 minutes left of his time. Let's see. For those fools and liars who say it's racist to require voter ID, it's obviously not. Yeah. Let's see. We are literally paying foreigners. Okay. All right. What's this one? There will be a reckoning. Yeah, we're pretty much at the end of his post. Let us move on to their all hands meeting where he kind of gives an update on what's going on. Let's see. That's not it. Here you go.
So by having factories on the moon, building AI satellites, and having a mass driver, which is the kind of thing you really only learn about or read about in science fiction, but we're going to make it real.
I think a mass driver is like a slingshot. It's a way of being able to send stuff into space without having to like fuel it. So like they don't have to manufacture fuel on the moon. They can just have like a spring-loaded slingshot that can shoot satellites off into orbit. So by building and from what I understand, there are resources on the moon. It's rich in titanium. So they should be able to mine the materials that they need in order to build things like solar panels and satellites. And the idea seems to be that they will manufacture these things on the moon and then send them, into orbit around the Earth, facilitating the building of these data centers in space, which I think that this is very interesting, and it's part of prophecy because when the magnetic pole shifts, it talks about the stars of heaven falling to the earth like a fig tree when it is shaken. I don't know if he's going to achieve building the moon base before that happens. I'm kind of the opinion that everything that's in orbit right now is probably part of that prophecy, but it happens twice. There's 2 times that it's mentioned in the book of Revelation where the earth is shaken and the stars fall. The stars fall to the earth. One is seal number 6, and the other one is bowl number 6, the bowl judgments, which are part of seal number 7. So there's 2 times that happens. So I'm wondering if he doesn't get something on, if he doesn't get a lot more satellites into orbit, which I believe he just signed. I think he just signed a deal about launching 1 million satellites into orbit. It would not surprise me if those aren't the stars that fall to Earth when it's shaken.
We're actually going to have a mass driver on the moon. And if you do that, you can go several orders of magnitude greater. You can go to 1,000 gigawatts or more per year, and ultimately get to maybe.
So what he's referring to is this started last month, where he started talking about Kardashev civilizations, which is a science fiction writer, I believe, who talks about who puts the evolution of civilization into different levels. The first one is using all the power on Earth. The second one is using all the power in the universe. And then the third level is using all the power in the galaxy, or harnessing it. And that got him thinking about all the difficulties that he has with building these data centers and manufacturing giga manufacturing plants. One of the biggest limiting factors is energy. Even in the data center that he built in 19 days, they use meth, not meth. They use gas to fuel the factory, and Donald Trump is also recognized the weakness of our energy grid and has eliminated a lot of the red tape in order to build more energy. It's a huge limiting factor. And because of that, he's realized that it is significantly cheaper to harness the sun, the power of the sun. So by sending satellites, sending, infrastructure into space and using solar panels, they receive sun 24 hours a day because they're always facing the sun. There's no shade in space. And you don't need batteries, so you eliminate 50% of the cost by not having batteries. You just need a solar panel and the computer equipment. And because it's in a vacuum and because it's temperature, a set temperature, they can design them in a way that they'll last a very long time. As such, they'll be able to harness more power faster in order to build infrastructure for artificial intelligence.
A millionth and then a thousandth and maybe even a few percent of the sun's energy. It's difficult to imagine what an intelligence of that scale would think about. Welcome to the XAI All Hands. We've got a very exciting presentation for you. We're going to start off by recapping the incredible progress that the XAI team has made in just 2.5 years. It's really remarkable in pursuit of our goal of understanding the universe. So just going over our accomplishments since inception.
That was his time up on the timeline.
Bear in mind that XAI is only 2.5 years old, basically a toddler. And we've nonetheless achieved an incredible amount in a very short period of time. So our competitors are 5, 10, in some cases 20 years old. They have much larger teams. They started off with far more resources, and yet nonetheless, we have achieved number one in many arenas in just a few years. So we've achieved number one in voice, in image and video generation. I think we now at this point are actually generating more images and video based on the last numbers I saw than all of our competitors combined. We are winning in terms of forecasting, which is one of the key metrics of intelligence. So the Grok 420 forecasting model beat all the other AIs in forecasting. And we've talked...
Yeah, there is no doubt that Grok is significantly better than all the data models. You should if you're interested in some funny videos, look up like asking ChatGPT to count without interruption. Those are hilarious. Or there's some other ones like that to where they give the appearance of intelligence, but they're just the dumbest things. And Grok knocks these challenges out of the park. They've definitely done a service to artificial intelligence in the way that they've set up Grok, and its primary focus is maximally truth seeking, which it's still not without its problems. I still, there are still issues in that it will consider that the mass, the majority who agree on something, that means that it's true. I think he needs to fix that before it becomes a problem, because there are a lot of things that the majority believe that are not true. But that I've noticed that is still an issue, to where you can ask it things and you can get to the truth. But anyway, I'm rambling. Let's get back to Elon.
Many leaderboards. We've got now a great app with Imagine. With the
Imagine is very cool.
We've made radical improvements to the X app, and
so I use Imagine now for thumbnails every day. I don't know if you guys have noticed that the thumbnails they're all generated using Grok, and it used to be that it was terrible with text, but now it's gotten really good with text. And it does. And the reason I use Grok Imagine is because it will generate images of Donald Trump and Elon Musk, where the other models will not. If I wanted to run my own AI locally, I could get it to generate pictures of them, but it's just too much of a pain in the butt. I like Grok Imagine. It does a pretty decent job.
We've launched a Grokopedia, which is on its way to far exceeding Wikipedia and will ultimately be orders of magnitude more comprehensive and more accurate and have more information as well as video and image data that simply isn't there on Wikipedia. So it's intended ultimately to be Encyclopedia Galactica, a distillation of all knowledge of all knowledge.
Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
We're the first to achieve 100,000 H100 GPU training cluster, and we're now about to achieve the first 1 million H100 GPU equivalents in training. So really an incredible amount of work in a very short period of time.
Extremely short.
It's important to consider competitiveness of any technology company. What matters is not the position at any point in time, but what is your velocity and acceleration. And if you're moving faster than anyone else in any given technology arena, you will be the leader. And XAI is moving faster than any other company.
And with that being said, though, the other companies are moving extremely fast as well. There was Anthropic just released their model, version 4.6, which was able to achieve, when properly orchestrated, they were able to have their AI agents. They had a coordinating agent that was able to manage 50 other agents. They were able to build an app that would have normally taken 5 years to develop. They were able to build it in 2 weeks from beginning to end with zero intervention. It basically built a multi-million-dollar company product. It built a product that could be used to start a company and get millions upon millions, hundreds of millions of dollars in funding and provide a valuable service. That's other companies. Anthropic, another AI company, and Grok and XAI is moving even faster than that.
No one's even close. So let's go to our team. As we grow as a company, a natural thing that happens is you reorganize the company as it scales up. So when you first have a startup, you might have just a few dozen people and they'd all just chat amongst themselves. As you grow to several hundred people, you have to then add more structure, just like an organism that grows from a single, like we all just grew from a single cell and then to a blob of cells, and then you get organ differentiation, limbs, you grow a tail, hopefully the tail disappears, and then you become a baby, you go through these stages. And so we're organizing, because we've reached a certain scale, we're organizing the company to be more effective at this scale. Now, naturally, when this happens, there's some people who are better suited for the early stages of a company and less suited for the later stages. And so, and for the people that have departed, I'd just like to say thank you for your contribution. Thank you for getting us this far. And
this is one of the unfortunate realities of startups. I've been a part of multiple startups myself, and usually a company will start with 2 or 3 people. They'll have an idea, they'll work together, and they'll get funding, they'll get customers, they'll add value. Then they need to hire more people, and then they need to start organizing. And it will get to a point to where the original people who started the company just don't have the skills to organize it for the next level. And then there's another level above that. So that's what he's referring to, is they've moved so fast that the original, founders just don't have the skills to keep moving. They need to bring people in who are experts at the other different levels.
And we wish you very well in your future endeavors. So now going on to...
Make no mistake, it's not like they're being fired. They probably have stocks that are worth millions, if not hundreds of millions of dollars, usually when they leave or when they're replaced.
The new structure of the company is organized in 4 main application areas. There's Grok main and voice, which is really the main Grok model. That's why it's called Grok main. Then there's a coding specific model. There's an image and video model, which is Imagine, and then macro hard, which is intended to do full digital emulation of entire companies. And then we've got the infrastructure layers. With the Grok main, the sort of main foundation model, the intent is that it's genuinely useful in a wide range of areas. So if you're doing engineering or law or medicine, anything, it is useful to you in your job.
And this is just we're it's not even the beginning. We are well into artificial intelligence replacing, I don't want to say every job, but a lot of jobs. Like lawyers and their the people who like write their contracts and respond to their emails and double check the law and stuff like that are being replaced by AI. Even engineers, engineers pretty much don't have to. I'm telling people not to go to college for coding. Do not go to school to learn how to program. It's going to become irrelevant probably by the end of the year. And I'm a software engineer. I've been developing software for 30 years. And I rarely write code, and neither do my colleagues. My colleagues, we basically just direct AI to write code now. And by the end of the year, we probably won't even be doing that. And he talks about it in this presentation.
Essential to understanding the universe and making things as useful as possible. Like when Grok gives you an answer that you can count on it. I think actually things will move maybe even by the end of this year to where you don't even bother doing coding. The AI just creates the binary directly.
Yeah.
And the AI can create a much...
I actually predicted that last year where I said that it's moving so fast that writing code in a language is actually slowing down the artificial intelligence, because the writing code is for people so that people can read the code. Artificial intelligence doesn't really need to read the code. It just needs to create the binary. And that's what he's saying is it's pretty much just going to generate the artifact that a computer needs to run. It doesn't even need to be legible by a human anymore.
More efficient binary than can be done by any compiler. So just say create optimized binary for this particular outcome, and you actually bypass even traditional coding. There's no that's an intermediate step that actually will not be needed probably by, I'd say, the end of this year.
Yep.
And we do expect Grok code to be state of the art in 2 to 3 months. So it's happening very quickly. Most of AI compute is going to be real-time video understanding and real-time video generation. And we expect to be the leaders in that. It's worth emphasizing.
Yeah, so actors in Hollywood are probably going to be a thing of the past, and entertainment. We even see this with AI slop on the internet, to where entertainment is probably going to be generated on demand with the way that everyone is going, to where TV shows will just be generated. And then movies generated. You'll be able to say, hey, I want to see another, maybe there's a show that's been off the air, maybe a show from your childhood, Matlock. You'll be able to say, generate me the next episode of Matlock, and it can go evaluate all the videos in the series and extrapolate what an episode of Matlock should be like, and it will just generate it, have all the same actors and voices, and you won't even know the difference. That's where they're going. Same thing with movies.
Emphasizing these points that 6 months ago we didn't even have. We had basically nothing or very weak in video and image generation and editing, and we're in 6 months to #1 spot. And in fact, generating more videos and images than everyone else combined. We're going to do the same thing with coding, and we're going to do the same thing with macro hard. And I think people will be pretty impressed with the Grok 4.2 model that's coming out. It's a significant improvement, and that's really just that's the small version of our new model. So we will have a medium and a large version that are even more intelligent. Yeah, the macro hard project is over time actually will probably be our most important project, because what we're talking about is emulation of entire human companies.
Mm-hmm.
So when you look at the most valuable companies in the world, their output is digital. So they don't actually make hardware. So it should be possible to completely emulate any.
Thankfully, I work for a company that makes hardware, so hopefully my job is safe for another year, but I'm not counting on it. I may start doing YouTube full time. If I go full time, we may need to revisit a different monetization standard because of the way the industry is going. I'm hoping that because my company actually makes hardware, that we'll withstand a little bit longer than the average company.
company where the output is digital. And this will usher in an age of prosperity, the likes of which we can barely imagine at this point. You need imagine to imagine it. So this is a big deal, and this is why the words macro hard are painted on the roof of the training cluster, because that's what it's going to build. So
it's also pretty funny.
Yeah. Meant to be a joke. I'd like to say, like, we're...
So the joke with macro hard is it's the opposite of Microsoft. Get it? Micro, soft, you get little soft, and then macro is big and hard. That's the joke. It's a stab at Microsoft.
We're shifting from using these sort of common internet evals, which I think are actually not a real indicator of usefulness, to having expert tutors in each domain. So every domain of engineering, medicine, law, whatever the case may be. And the actual eval is, does the expert in that arena, or does our group of experts in that arena, human experts, agree that Grok is extremely useful and that the results are correct?
So he had made a comment about replacing entire companies. And this week there was a couple of guys who, I think it was in a single day, replicated all of the features of Monday.com, which took years to develop. Granted, they didn't build it as an enterprise scale software, but they were able to build software that gave them all the features of the company Monday.com, so that they no longer need Monday.com. That's what he's talking about, is you'll be able to generate a company on demand by the end of the year, probably, to where you'll be able to come up with an idea to solve a problem and be able to launch the company on the internet, and AI will just support it. And it'll probably be done in such a way that as you need features, they'll just be added on demand.
That's actually the only eval that really matters. Fundamental to any AI company's success is the compute advantage. And what we've demonstrated over and over again is that XAI can actually deploy more AI compute faster than anyone else.
That's true.
And actually, as Jensen Huang, CEO of NVIDIA, has said many times in interviews, there is no one faster at getting AI compute online than XAI.
You know, I wonder if part of this, the acceleration with this, I bet that a lot of the technology and a lot of this stuff withstands the Earth being reverted back. I mean, it could be that when the Earth goes through the magnetic pole shift and the seven bowls and trumpet judgments, it could be that all this stuff is destroyed. But with him building that database, the Grokopedia, the knowledge to build it all again should technically survive. And with everybody being resurrected from the dead, this could be what we're doing, is rebuilding technology and implementing this stuff in the future after Christ comes back. Because we know that there are going to be logistics when Christ comes back and rules and reigns on the earth for 1,000 years, because he, in some of his parables, he talks about rewarding those who did well while he was gone by putting them over cities, putting them in charge of things. So there's definitely going to be logistics. I imagine there's still going to be, maybe we won't need radio frequencies if we can all communicate telepathically. I have no idea if we'll be able to do that, but I imagine that there will still be a need for technology in the future. Could be wrong, but that could be why all of this is culminating right now, preparing. Matter of fact, there's even there's a scripture in Esdras, I think, that talks about the mountains of gold and lead and mercury are basically mountains of resources that are prepared for the Messiah to build his kingdom. It wouldn't surprise, and a lot of those metals are used within technology. So I imagine technology will still be a part of our future. I hope so, because I really like technology. I love building stuff.
So congratulations, guys. Yeah, this is what it looks like. So that's really phase one, which is 330,000 Grace Blackwells with macro hard written on the building. That's not an image edit. It actually is on the roof of the building.
Yeah.
And then macro harder will be the building that you can see, which has got the macro harder with the rockets on it. And that'll be another 220,000 GB300s.
Wow.
So all of this will be training the models that you experience. So it's absolutely fundamental, obviously, to have large-scale training compute in order to get the best models. Yeah, I'm sort of reminded of the Jose meme where you see one guy digging and there's like 7 people watching. And one of the big differences between XAI and other companies is we are actually Jose. Yep. And yeah, so we've evolved what used to be the old Twitter DM stack, which was unencrypted, basically just text, to a fully encrypted messaging system that allows you to do audio and video calls, has all the things you'd want from any messaging app, the disappearing messages, screenshot blocks, like there's all the features that you'd want in an app. We will be open sourcing the code for this in the next few months.
All right, so he's got Grok News, he's got the X app, he's got X Money. So, I mean, he did invent PayPal, so that makes sense. Grokopedia, Grok Imagine, Grok Search, Grok Recommendations and Ads, Grok Voice, and Grok Chat. Huh.
As we're open sourcing the recommendation algorithm code so people can actually see what we're doing, nothing beats transparency for believing in a company. So we're
a lot of people are afraid that when you release your code that somebody will take that code and replicate your company. Companies are typically made by the people who run them. And it's very hard to replicate teams. So he's proven that it's never really done anything bad for his companies by releasing his patents, because the open sources all of his patents too, the majority of them, so that people can actually replicate the technology. Which just goes to show that he cares more about solving problems than he does making money, and as a result, he just makes boatloads of money.
Going to be the only recommendation algorithm that actually open sources, so you can see what it does and how it's evolving. With Grok Chat, it will also be open source, so you can actually see if there are any vulnerabilities. There will be no hooks for advertising or anything else like that in Grok Chat, which is really intended to be a generalized communication system. And in the next few months, we'll be releasing a standalone XChat app. So if you just...
That is, of course, until you just start generating binaries and nobody has the code anymore. Then we're going to be questioning, what is the AI putting into the binaries? Is it building in backdoors? Maybe we need to keep the language aspect so that we're not building in backdoors.
Just want to do messaging, you can do that. You don't have to go to the core product. And it will have desktop sharing and multi-user, so you can do video calls with lots of people. It's really
taking on Zoom,
a fully functional communication system with XChat. For X Money, we actually had X Money live in closed beta within the company, and we expect in the next month or two to go to a limited external beta, and then to go worldwide to all X users.
Wow!
And this is really intended to be the place where all the money is, the central source of all monetary transactions.
Wow!
So it's really going to be a game changer. And the reason we say 1 billion users,
I can hear now all the people who are like think he's the Antichrist are just chomping at the bit to say, see, he's controlling things. You're not going to be able to buy or sell without using X or XAI or X Money or something like that. Well, go do your research on the Little Horn. He's not South African. Little Horn is not South African or Scottish. Elon is South African and Donald Trump is Scottish. So
actually over 1 billion users, is that while our monthly users are on average around 600 million, the number of people who have the X app installed is well over 1 billion. It's just that most people only occasionally come to the X app when there's some major world event. But as we give people more reasons to use the X app, whether it's for communications, for Grok, or for X Money, whatever the case may be, we want it to be such that if you want to, you could live your life on the X app. And as we make it more and more useful, we'll obviously give people compelling reasons to use the app every day.
Well, he recognizes the danger to people losing their jobs, and he's trying to solve for that problem. He's trying to find a way to make it easy for people to make money.
And have, my expectation is, well over 1 billion daily active users.
He's already increased creator payouts on X. It seems as though one of the things he's going after is YouTube. He's starting to position X as a major competitor to YouTube.
So now, in order to understand the universe, you must explore the universe. There's only so much you can learn from just being on Earth with telescopes and colliders on Earth. Ultimately, you have to go out there and you have to explore the universe to understand it. And that's the motivation behind the combination of SpaceX and XAI, is to accelerate humanity's future in understanding the universe and extending the light of consciousness to the stars. So in the grand scheme of things, when you look at how much energy Earth is actually using for civilization, we're only right now using, quote, roughly 1% of the potential energy of Earth. And if we wanted to use even a millionth of the sun's energy, that would be roughly 1 million times more energy than civilization currently uses. The only way to access that energy, the energy of the sun, is to extend beyond Earth. Earth is really a tiny, tiny dust mote in a vast darkness. The sun is 99.8% of all mass in the solar system. So you have to expand beyond the tiny dust mote that is Earth to make any significant dent in using the sun's energy. Like I said, you'd have to expand roughly 1 million times just to get to 1 millionth of our sun's energy, and then going beyond that, exploring, extending to the galaxy, and maybe someday even to other galaxies. So the next step beyond Earth data centers is our Earth orbital data centers, and we'll be launching with SpaceX orbital data centers at the 100 to 200 gigawatt per year level. Not cumulative, I mean per year. And ultimately, we see a path to maybe launching as much as a terawatt per year of compute from Earth. What if you want to go beyond a mere terawatt per year? In order to do that, you have to go to the moon. So by having factories on the moon, building AI satellites, and having a mass driver, which is the kind of thing you really only learn about or read about in science fiction, but we're going to make it real. We're actually going to have a mass driver on the moon. And if you do that, you can go several orders of magnitude greater. You can go to 1,000 gigawatts or more per year, and ultimately get to maybe.
And so what he means by the power is he's not talking about sending the power to Earth. He's talking about using the power to operate technology. So right now, when you build a data center, you have to power it off of the grid, or you have to use some kind of a solution to generate electricity so that the data centers and stuff like that can work. The robots in the factories can work. And by moving the stuff that doesn't need to be on the planet into outer space, you can use power to operate data centers. You can send computers into outer space that can use the sun for the energy to work, and then using lasers, you can make that information accessible on the planet. So they can use. I mean, he's already proven the technology works with Starlink, to where everybody's getting satellites in order to access the internet, satellite dishes in order to access the internet. Well, they can make connections to the planet using lasers, so that we have high-speed access to what it is that the data centers in space are using. So when he talks about generating large sums of power, it's towards that end, and also generating power on the moon for manufacturing that needs to build something physical.
1 millionth, and then 1,000th, and maybe even.
Are you saying the SAVE Act passed, Fury? You said voter ID passed. That's amazing if it did.
A few percent of the sun's energy. It's difficult to imagine what an intelligence of that scale would think about, but it's going to be incredibly exciting to see it happen. I really want to see the mass driver on the moon that is shooting AI satellites into deep space. It's going like shoom, shoom, just one after the other. I can't imagine anything more epic than a mass driver on the moon and a self-sustaining city on the moon and then going beyond the moon to Mars.
That's the slingshot.
Throughout our solar system. And
that's that mass driver, the slingshot. So basically it's got a bucket right here, and then you pull it back here, you put whatever you want to launch into that bucket, and then it stores up energy, and then like a slingshot, it's released, and then it slides along this rail, and then it stops at the end, and whatever's in that bucket gets slung out into space.
Ultimately being out there among the stars and visiting all these star systems. Maybe we'll meet aliens. Maybe we'll see some civilizations that lasted for millions of years, and we'll find the remnants of ancient alien civilizations. But the only way we're going to do that is if we go out there and we explore. And this is the path to making it happen.
Cool.
Thank you.
There you go. That's your technology update. That pretty much sets the what you can expect in the future. Like we're early. We are very early in 2026. We're just in February, month number 2. But we've got some interesting things on the timeline. Potentially the start of the Great Tribulation in just 6 days. And I don't know what that's going to look like, but it seems like it's definitely involves Iran. So we can see the chessboard being set up. And I imagine it's probably going to, it makes sense that it would be part of for when they say peace and safety. Because right now there's just a lot of unknowns from countries all around the world. But it looks like Iran is going to be defeated. That fulfills prophecy in the scripture. It could lead to the war of Gog and Magog if we're not already in the Gog and Magog war. So now's the time to prepare. With all the exciting things with technology, there's risk risk of a lot of people losing their jobs and losing their income. That can be part of the Great Tribulation as well. If there's, if companies are laying off people in mass because they can replace them with a computer, that's going to be a problem. Plus we've got, potential for conflicts around the world. That's going to be a problem. And then on top of that, coming up in August, potentially the rotation of the planet. The magnetic pole shift, if you will. All right. Well, we got a few more minutes. What do you guys want to talk about? I noticed there were some heated conversations going on in the chat during the show. You guys want to cover anything? Any questions? Put a Q in front. Well, nobody's really chatting, so you can just ask a question right now if you want. So the SAVE Act got passed, and it's been sent to the Senate tonight. It sounded like they were pretty close to having the votes they need in the Senate to pass it. I wonder if the Democrats aren't realizing that they're not jumping ship because of Trump's wild success, and they're tired of losing. So maybe they're going to give up on the whole illegal immigrant thing. Maybe it's time, especially with the start of the Great Tribulation. Like we may be coming to the head of whatever that set up. I'm of the opinion that the reason Biden opened the borders was so that he can allow a mass invasion of our country. Trump's only able to get out less than 1 million people a year. And during the Biden administration, there's potentially 15 to 20 million people who came into the country illegally. They could be, they could be, we know that many countries opened up their prisons and sent murderers and rapists and terrible people here. So they could still be here. That's part of the drama with ICE is Trump was surging ICE agents into various cities in order to find the murderers and the rapists and the worst of the worst and get them out of here. But there are still millions, potentially more. And it may be they might be involved in whatever kicks off in February. It could all be hinging. There could be a linchpin moment and it very likely looks like it has to deal with Iran. Iran seems to be a linchpin to where when Iran falls, when the Ayatollah falls, that seems to be a trigger point. And I don't know what it is, you know. When I think about it and when I go through the logistics of what the worst possible thing could be, there's been some pretty bad things that have happened on the planet. I mean, there's been wars that lasted 30 years and killed 100 million people. So if it's worse than that, my mind goes towards nuclear. It seems like it's nuclear. But there's very little indication about nuclear attacks in the scripture. There is one, and it's actually around the Gog and Magog war in Ezekiel 38, where it talks about specialists are needed to go in and mark bodies. And we, there's the possibility that that's referring to nuclear specialists who are going in and marking radioactive areas. So there is a little bit indicative. Also, Zechariah 5, when it talks about the woman in the basket being wickedness, there's indications that could be nuclear war. That might be something worth reading. Let's go look at that. Zechariah 5. Good questions are coming in. Could you talk more about 3i Atlas and how it might tie in? Yeah, so 3i Atlas has been traveling towards our solar system for almost 50 years. We're able to track back its trajectory to a place where we received a signal that seemed to have intelligence associated with it. It was called the wow signal. And the reason why it's called the wow signal is because it was broadcasting, I think, the Fibonacci sequence, 3, 5, 7, or whatever the Fibonacci sequence is. I always forget it. I should know as an engineer. It's like one of the top engineering questions. But basically, you take the current number and then the next number, and you add them together to get the next number. It's the Fibonacci sequence. So it had broadcasted the Fibonacci sequence. And so that was like 50 years ago in like 1977. So not 50 years, just under 50 years ago. And that was 49 years ago. And so that is what really kind of has our attention with 3i Atlas, is that when it first came on our radar, it's associated with the freaking Fibonacci sequence, which is an indication of intelligence, because we just don't see radio signals like that have a structure. That's the typical structure that you would indicate and use to indicate intelligence to another civilization. So anyway, we've tracked it traveling into our solar system. So it came from another solar system. It's come into our solar system, and the timing of it, swinging by the sun and going close to Earth right now during this time where all of these prophetic events are happening. We've got seals that have been opened, events that match biblical scripture and prophecies. And then we've got this, we know it's not a meteor. There's more than 20 there's more than 20 anomalies with the object that indicate that it's potentially technology. And, so as being technology, and it did a flyby of Earth, it's kind of gone up and hung around Jupiter, which has tie-ins with Yeshua, with Jesus, the Son of God. So that's where we're at. And the last I checked is there were some photos from NASA that they were able to enhance that further solidified that it's not a meteor, that it has to be something metallic. So we're thinking that it's potentially some kind of a spaceship, which the fact that Jesus comes in the clouds with great power and great glory, you have to wonder, is Jesus going to show up in a spaceship? Since talking about this, we have learned from Rabbi Tovia Singer that that reference to show up to appear in the clouds is a reference to the Day of Atonement, I believe, or the festival of Festival of Tabernacles, where God tabernacles amongst us, which could be pointing, which is in the August-September time of the month. I think it's in September, the Festival of Tabernacles. But so there's a weird link there with that. So I haven't checked in a couple of days on what the status of 3i Atlas is, but that's kind of the history of everything so far. Last I checked, they're still of the opinion that it is not a meteor, that it is an interstellar object that is likely technological in origin. There are many who think that it's a fleet of ships, actually. Let's see. Fury says the drones were from Mexico. The groups down there don't know if I will be censored if I say it. Okay. What if prophecies aren't right and this is just the result of bad politicians? There are so many things that have happened that line up with the Bible. I mean, I've gotten things wrong before, but so I'm a first principles approach type of a person. If you don't know what that means that you distill things down into their simplest form, and you separate the factual information from the assumptions, and that's how you draw your conclusions. Well, we have so many things in the factual category that it's almost beyond question. I mean, it's ridiculous how many things have lined up. This isn't even half of it. Like this only represents like a percentage of the information of things that have lined up scripturally. The most impressive one is the Revelation 12 sign. This sign happened on September 23rd, 2017. And a lot of people will argue saying that sign happens all the time. Well, it doesn't. We've looked at them. Look, we've looked at every single sign that happens. And while they're similar, they're all missing elements of that particular sign. The only one that comes close is this one right here, the one that happened on 439 AD, where you've got the Virgo closed with the sun, moon under her feet, Virgo. I don't know if it's in retrograde. And then you have kind of a crown of 12 stars up here. But the planet is not fully in Leo. And also, this doesn't happen on the day of Festival of Trumpets. This one actually happened on the Festival of Trumpets. This sign happened on an appointed time, the Festival of Trumpets. So there's a strong indication that this is an anchor point that links the book of Revelation to our day and time. And then from there's been a bunch of things that line up with Scripture. So it's possible that I've got the stuff wrong, but the data suggests that it suggests a lot of things. It suggests the Bible is true, that God is real, that Jesus is his son, that he's alive, and that he's going to return. And also, we know the future. If this actually is an event, so February 17th, so based on the pattern of the data, the things that have happened, it's pointing to February 17th, 2026. And that's because of eclipses. So there were eclipses on all these days where significant events happened. So one of the next things to happen is the Great Tribulation, and for when they say peace and safety. So whatever happens on the 17th is going to be very telling, very indicative of what the rest of the year is going to be like, I think. If nothing happens, if things stay relatively peaceful, and Trump, maybe Trump goes in, gets the Ayatollah in the same way that he got Maduro, and then is able to put a government in place in Iran to bring peace, because right now they're killing people left and right, hand over fist. I heard a number recently that it's 4 times more than what we've been told. So, I mean, that's going to happen in a couple of days. I don't think it's any coincidence that we're kind of in this limbo right before an eclipse, which matches seal number 5. So we'll see. I could be wrong. I mean, that's the whole point of this channel is we're observers here. As my name implies, we're watchful. And that's the whole objective, is to watch. Let's see what else. Watchful, how do I contact you? I have some engineering questions, and I hope you could help. Two Witnesses live@gmail.com. Ooh, food. All right. Anything else? Fibonacci sequence. He wasn't talking about prophecies. I thought he just misspelled prophecies. What if the prophecies aren't right, and this is just the result of bad politicians? Can you restate the question? Maybe he did mean prophecies. Yeah, okay. Prophecies are never wrong. All right, guys. Well, I think that puts us at the 2-hour mark. I don't see any other questions that are coming up. Thank you so much for joining me. Let's see. What else do we have to tomorrow? What is it today? Today's Wednesday. So tomorrow's Thursday. What do you guys want to cover tomorrow? Maybe we should start looking at, I don't know. I kind of feel like we need to continue investigating Iran and what's going on, what to potentially expect February 17th. Might be good to continue doing our homework. Maybe look at the geographies of the different nations that are involved. I'm open to ideas if you guys have something specific that you want me to cover. Anyway, thank you so much for joining me tonight. Really appreciate you guys being here. This has been fantastic. If you like this content, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel so you get notifications, and make sure you come back and visit us. We're live Monday through Friday at 4:30 Pacific time, 7:30 Eastern Standard Time. We don't broadcast on the Sabbath and don't really broadcast on Sunday. Periodically we will, but not too often. So come visit us. If you're new to the channel, welcome to being here. Look forward to seeing you guys again. God bless you. Shalom, shalom.